when you're reaching for something or running away from something, or both at the same time, and you hit the end of the road when the shoreline literally stops you in your tracks. Your dreams and your fears ricochet out of your body and rush across the water toward the horizon line. And you stand and you watch and you wonder and hope. And you start to breathe as if for the very first time. I tripped over myself on the way to nowhere, hanging on to love that I couldn't spare, to find there's no cure for all these doubts, so mostly I'm not around. I watch the night like an injured hawk, thinking of the prey that I once caught, knowing my days are counting down, so mostly I'm not around. I looked up at God and I said, when do I get out? God glared back and gave me a frown. So I'm on this shelf at the lost and found. Mostly I'm not around. Mostly I'm not around. So if you want to find something new, you have to be willing to get lost and leave behind at least one familiar thing, maybe every familiar thing. And after living in New York City for almost 20 years and thinking of myself as a lifelong New Yorker who would probably die there, and having been drawn to New York by all the things most people hate, the noise and the rush and the tall buildings and the crowds and the smells, I chose to get lost in Provincetown, a town of 2,700 registered voters, a fishing village, an artist colony, a gay enclave, and a tourist town all rolled into one at the end of the road, at the tip of Cape Cod, surrounded on 3 sides by water, with only 2 main streets. I had no plans to leave New York, the place I loved and called home. And as a singer-songwriter, I thought New York City was the place you had to be. New York City was where you played the clubs and met the people and got the deals. But I did have this little fantasy in the back of my head of going somewhere quiet on my own creative retreat and writing full-time for a few months, a luxury I couldn't afford in the city. So I put all my stuff in storage in Brooklyn, and I came to Provincetown for 4 months, 10 years ago. My plan was to write the next great American rock album in 4 months. But what I didn't see, what I couldn't plan, was that by getting lost here in Provincetown, even with all the confusion and fear that come with going off script in your own life, or probably because of that confusion, New creative pathways and possibilities opened up for me that I couldn't have imagined for myself, that exploded my assumptions of how my singer-songwriter life was supposed to go. What I couldn't see was that I would spend 5 summers street performing, or busking, as the pros call it, which means that I played 50 to 60 two-hour sets each summer to thousands of tourists from all over the world, the equivalent of a national tour each year, reaching far more people and playing far more hours than I could have in the clubs in New York. What I couldn't see was that one day an award-winning theater artist would sit down on a bench and listen to me sing a song on the street and ask, "Do you want to be in a play?" Which would bring acting back into my life, a love I thought was buried in my past. And what I couldn't see was that in the process of writing and recording 2 albums, my vision would morph from quirky, yet pretty straightforward indie folk rock to embrace more eclectic and expansive song forms and sound textures. And what I can see now, having walked through the door of these various creative opportunities and challenges, is that my idea of how to be a writer and performer had been getting in the way of me being a writer and performer. Getting lost is disorienting, and believe me, I was plenty disoriented my first few years in Provincetown, even with just 2 main streets. But while I was asking myself, what the hell have you done? And how long are we staying here? I was already forming new writing routines and coming at my work from different perspectives, because it's precisely the disorientation of getting lost, the discomfort and confusion we all want to avoid, that can break open your ideas of how you should be living or should be creating, and can help you uncover passions that have probably always been there, just hidden or obscured. Provincetown's influence on my work isn't literal. I don't watch the sunset and then go home and write a song about the sunset. I don't play guitar in a live rock drag show and then go home and write about drag queens. Yet. But in the dead of winter, if you go out to the beach at exactly the moment that the bottom of the sun touches the horizon line and you start walking, you'll witness the sun reflect its magic across the sky as it slides westward. And the ocean will mirror that light show and then shadow up its own blues and greens and blacks. And pretty soon it's dusk, and you're hanging in the moment that was the day and will be the night. And slowly, imperceptibly, you can't really see anymore. And you find that it's your hearing telling you where to walk, not your sight. That the sound of the waves hitting the shoreline is guiding your feet. And those dreams and fears that had shot out of your body start filtering back to you across the ocean through the salt air. Only now, they're intermingled with the ghosts of the Yankee and Portuguese sailors whose ships wrecked on the shoals just offshore, with the artists who followed the light to the end of the road, with the poets and playwrights and novelists who wrote their way through summers in dune shacks, with the queers who fought their way to this swirl of sand where they could live without fear, with the Wampanoag people on whose land we're standing right now, and with the fractured promise of the country's beginnings. And your dreams and fears are changed. And that one moment of getting lost, wherever and however you choose to get lost, will translate into dozens of other new pathways, new horizons, new ideas, new inspirations, new influences, new challenges, new passions that will make your life more rich, more wild, and more true. What do you know? Where do you go from here? From here. Why did you pretend when you knew the end was near? Oh, so near. Something in you, something in her, something that changed, something that hurt. Hold on, maybe tell. Hold on, quick thrill. Hold on, tighter still. Jump, go. Afternoon, half moon, hangs low, half truths not said, still not said. Can't stop, can't start, can't find a beating heart to run, just to run. Something in you, something in her, something that changed, something that hurt. Hold on, maybe till. Hold on, tighter still. Hold on, quick thrill. Hold on, overkill. Hold on, spilled milk. Hold on, free guilt. Hold on, so still.